the biggest looming question, besides the facts of what happened, because we still don't know everything that happened, is the question of who's going to investigate it. The New York Times has a pretty good piece this morning about how difficult it would be to secure a federal prosecution, let alone a conviction, not a federal, state prosecution, let alone conviction of the ICE official who pulled the trigger. And nobody I know thinks that the Trump Justice Department is going to investigate and indict him. So, Larry, where does the legal case stand as far as you're concerned going forward?
Well, I would minor disagreement. I do think the Justice Department will investigate. They must. I mean, they're compelled to if a federal law enforcement officer discharges their weapon.
But it can be an administrative probe, not a criminal probe.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would share that thought. I will amend what I said yesterday. I do think that if this goes the way it should go with the federal investigation and that there's no charges brought, if the state does bring charges, I don't think. Yesterday I said I have no reason to believe the police officer won't cooperate. Based on the rhetoric I saw yesterday, I don't think the police. I keep saying police officer, the ICE agent. Will cooperate with the state proceeding. I do think there will be one. I think it's a show trial. It reminds me of when the civil charges, or excuse me, when the second charges were brought against the police officers in the Rodney King case in Los Angeles.
Yeah. But I don't think, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you think it actually get to trial? Because my reading of the law and reading the Times story and the vice president's strong assertion is that they'd move to take it out of state court and then it would be dismissed.
That's what I believe will happen too. But again, as I said yesterday, if for some reason the feds lose that and it does go to state trial, I had said yesterday that the officer would probably cooperate. Now I don't think he will, nor should he, because of the way this is being set up.
Yeah, Kevin, I struck me this morning in thinking about the PR wars of this, because there is a PR war on the question of culpability, on the question of the ICE presence. It seems like, and again, I'm just trying to be objective here, the administration's taking this seriously. They trotted the vice president out yesterday to announce this special prosecutor type to look at the fraud allegations. They're very aggressive with Noam and the president, everybody else. And the Minnesota Democratic officials, to me, seem pretty weak. They're not the most skilled or coordinated. So my question to you is, if they hired you, if the state party, the governor, the mayor all hired you and said, Kevin, we think we need a stronger daily drumbeat presence, what could they be doing differently to try to win over, do better in the news cycle than they've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should focus on the news that we saw yesterday, where the FBI is taking the lead on this, and they've kind of shut out the state investigative agency, the BCA, in Minnesota on this. And I think you can win the argument saying, let's have greater state. You called for this in your monologue yesterday, Mark, greater collaboration between the state and the feds on this. I think it's a winning argument in terms of transparency. And let's just get to the bottom of how this happened and how this woman's life was taken, and try and separate out the politics. I think there's a moral argument to be made for that collaboration between the state investigative agency with law enforcement and the FBI, and not the FBI just shutting them out. And I think Democrats and the governor should focus on that and getting to the bottom of this, and hopefully some cooler heads will prevail. Not this debate over whether she was murdered or killed or what have you, but let's figure out some transparency with this.
So two things, Kevin. Do you have faith in the state agencies to investigate this, considering their track record investigating the fraud that has been uncovered over the last couple of weeks? And secondly, don't you find it kind of ironic that had the state of Minnesota cooperated with federal ICE officers in their immigration duties instead of claiming sanctuary status, this never would have happened?
Yeah, Larry, to your point, I'm a big believer in, okay, well, listen, it's complicated, right? And it's nuanced. So, I'm a center left guy. I want further collaboration. I can't have the rhetoric from Trump and Noam saying she's a domestic terrorist, and then, not have these communities say, okay, we don't want these folks here. I hate to see these protesters get in the face of these men and women in ICE. Okay. That's not helping the situation. Those folks grabbing onto their weapons, what have you, that's hugely problematic. But both sides are so dug in, and Governor Walz thinks he's winning, and the mayor thinks he's winning, right, by rallying up his base. And obviously the president and Secretary Noam think that they're winning on this.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.